not just as a person, as a culture, have been hearing that for that amount of time, I'd be ready to slap the shit out of somebody.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, that's the plight and the struggle of the I wouldn't even say African American anymore. Like, I keep saying that, but I think true African Americans are Africans that are from Africa that come to America. Those are real African Americans.
I got you.
Like, as far as me, I'm an American.
Okay.
But I'm a man of color, but I'm American because I was born and raised here. You know, I don't have really too many roots to Africa, which I'm dying to see my roots. You know what I'm saying? Where my culture, where we originate from. You know, that's one of the plights I battle with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish I knew my native tongue. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I'm mixed with a couple things because of the transatlantic slavery thing that happened. You know what I'm saying? I'm Scottish, Native American, and black. You know, well, you know, black. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy. But if it wasn't for all that, I wouldn't be here. Right. Right. So you see, I guess you just make the best of what it is. You know, just make the best of your situation. You know, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's a good way to start the greenhouse sessions. You know what I mean? With like real conversation.
Yeah, I love real conversation. Sometimes my conversations are too real with a lot of people. I realized, like, as I got older and the more I start to understand about socioeconomics and, you know, the plight of the, you know, the black and brown people in America. I grew up being with a lot of, I grew up, you know, my parents moved me to the suburbs and I grew up around a lot of white, you know, Jewish culture, like the town I grew up in.
Dorchester?
Well, Dorchester is the inner city, but then I moved to the suburbs, which was Randolph. And that when I moved there, it was predominantly Jewish. So I got a lot of my work ethic from Jewish people, you know what I'm saying? Because my first job was at a Jewish deli, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, it was a lot of work. I was cleaning dishes and picking up tables, you know what I'm saying? So I've always had humble beginnings, you know?
Do you feel like that gives you an insight of like the Jewish culture or an understanding?
Oh, for sure, man. Like, I grew up with mad Jewish, like I have still to this day, man. You know, my boy David Carnell, you know, his mom, you know, we spent a lot of time, you know, hanging out with him and his family. And, you know, to this day, she still calls me her Jewish mom, you know. Yeah. So I'm very familiar with Jewish culture, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I respect it, you know.
Yeah, is it weird? You don't have to speak on it if you don't want to, but like with the whole like Kanye controversy, is it weird? Because some of the things that he said are obviously crazy, but like some of the things he said in the beginning were things that I feel like if you have been around the Jewish community are very common to be said around the Jewish community.
Some of the stuff he said is factual about like the ownership of companies and corporations. That is true. But not all Jewish people are bad people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you have every culture, you have a group of bad motherfuckers, man. That's just doing some fucked up shit. So, you know, a lot of people, I don't think Kanye, I don't, sometimes it's generalized, but I think he's talking about a specific group of people. And people, because of who he is and who Kanye is, people are just hypersensitive when he says something because they know he has super influence. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people get scared about that because he can shift the mindset of a lot of people.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's very
I can say a lot of things about the Christian and the black community with Methodists and all that stuff. Like, I feel I could say like,
are you religious? Are you religious?
I'm not gonna say I grew up very religious. I'm gonna say I grew up religious because I was forced to. When you grow up, you're taught a certain thing, right? I grew up Catholic, then Christian. I had to go to church every Sunday. My mom made me go to church every Sunday until I was 18. Well, 17 because then I was in the military. But yeah, I had to go to church every Sunday, and I had to go to Sunday school and stuff like that. But I saw a lot of hypocrisy in the church. Put it that way, which made me question, all religion. But do I believe in God? Yes. Do I believe in a higher power? Yes. Do I think it's a male or female? I have no idea. I don't think anyone can fathom what is out there. We don't know. When someone dies, like, they don't come back and tell you what's out there. So we really don't know. But I just believe in universal energy, and I believe in spirituality and vibrations. And, I don't care what religion you are. If you're a good person, that's all that matters to me.
That's it almost feels like post-pandemic, a lot of people are starting to get on that vibe where it's about your vibrations, your energies, or, are you making my life better?
Right.
Right? You said you grew up in Boston, essentially, right?
Yes, yeah, I grew up in Boston, yes.
What was that like?
Growing up in Boston, like I said, it was I had a very interesting childhood. But Boston was, it's a rough city, man. It's like, a lot of extreme things happen in Boston. Like, I've experienced, I have a huge family, first of all, in Boston. So, I've been around, I have like from street hustlers, prostitutes, pimps, to scholars, pop icons, famous people in the music industry, right? And then, I have an uncle that's a professor, and so it's like my family's so big and so vast. I've seen pretty much all sides of life, walks of life and culture because of my family, Right. It was pretty rough, man, growing up. I got into a lot of fights, I seen a lot of fights. Growing up on Ballou Ave in Dorchester, like it was shootings, fights all the time, Like when I was in elementary school, I used to have to like run home, because I was getting jumped by like fifth graders, And I'm like first grade. And I remember my grandmother used to always come pick me up. And one time I had to hide behind these trucks because I was, these guys were going to jump me, and she got super upset that she couldn't find me, and but she gave me a whipping because I ran away. But I told her, I was like, these older kids are gonna jump me. So it was a pretty volatile environment at a young age, and then Dorchester was just a rough city.
What would you credit to not necessarily getting you out, but like, being that catalyst that moved
you? Well,
out?
My parents definitely, they wanted to put me and my sisters in a better life situation. I believe us moving to Randolph definitely helped us. They put us in a different environment so we can thrive,
Yeah.
So, but Boston definitely taught me how to deal with like racism, how to be able to be articulate, how to talk to white people, how to be on their level, understand their culture. Okay. I realize now that's an asset for me, because a lot of black people I see around here, like when they get in a room full of white people, they're like a deer in headlights. Like they're like almost scared to interact out of their environment.
Is there a way that you feel like white people should? No, I don't say should act, because I think that sounds wrong.
No,
but
I think
should they be comfortable in a certain way?
They're comfortable. They're fine. Like they're good. Like it's nothing against the white people. It's just that like the black people who aren't around a lot of white people, like it's foreign to them. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm sure you heard like where we going to Williamsville? Nah, we don't go out that way. Like what I'm saying? Like we good if we go out to Williamsville? And vice versa. Like when I used to go to the studio out on Reed Street in Buffalo, like I had a white artist that I worked with. I'm like, meet me at Reed Street, the studio. He's like, bro, am I gonna be good? I'm like, you with me? Of course you're gonna be good. So I think it's about just breaking down those stereotypes.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at too. Is that
we got there.
Amazing how it's almost like always reversed, right? Like not always, but in a lot of ways, you're afraid of the unknown. So you think, oh, if I go over here, I'm going to be, whatever, if this happens. But it's like a lot of times it's like, no, you're good unless you're involved in something that would bring that trouble, right? Like that's at least the experience I've had.
Yeah. Sometimes you're guilty by affiliation though. Sometimes you could be somewhere and it's just like you're not supposed to be there. Like, and a lot of the situations kind of happen with me. Sometimes I'll be in situations where you're like, okay, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be in this situation right now, but I put myself in that situation because I put myself around that environment,
Yeah. Growing up in Boston, did you ever see any remnants of, like, it sounds cliche, but like think of like here in Buffalo, you see the remnants of the Buffalo mob everywhere and the stories of like different restaurants. Did any of like the Whitey Bulger type stuff, or like what's his name, the UFC guy's kind of story with like the mob? You have anything, growing up that you would hear stories about or see?
My dad was a boxer. My dad was a Golden Glove boxer, and I never experienced. I never experienced like the old school mobsters, but I definitely, I definitely hung out, being in the streets, and when I was in the streets and doing my thing, I definitely was around a lot of gangsters. You know what I'm saying? That's for sure. But my dad told me about the experiences that he had, like when he would fight, and a lot of the gangster Italian guys would bet on him because my dad was a great fighter, and he just lost this one huge fight, and I think that took him out. Like they were like pretty much ready to kill him because they lost a lot of money.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that deterred my father from boxing again. Like then he started to have kids, and he was just like, yeah, you know, I had to raise you guys. So and I was a boxer too.
I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, so like I got jumped really bad when I was in right in high school. I had a ex-girlfriend, but we grew up together, like, you know, from childhood, and she was dating this real nasty gangster motherfucker. His name was Mike, and he ended up going to jail for murder. So that just tells you what type of dude that was. But we would write each other letters, you know what I'm saying? And he caught wind of one of the letters, and then he was like, I caught him. It was like a Halloween night or something like that, and I was out with my cousin, and he was like, yo, why you writing my girls letters? I'm like, bro, we've been friends for like ever growing up. It was like, it wasn't even like a letter of me trying to get with her. We were just, when I was growing up, I was one of those sweet kid guys, like, you know what I'm saying? Like if I had a girlfriend or I had a friend, like I'm really your friend, or, you know, you're sweet. I was a sweet guy like that, you know what I'm saying? Like I would write you notes and, you know, tell you, you know, you're beautiful, or, you know, tell you, you know what I mean? Just really sensitive like that. Mm. And I guess he didn't like that. So I was like, bro, we've just been friends, man. I'm like, do what you're gonna do, man. If you're gonna fight me, and as soon as I turned away, he fucking clocked me, man, and knocked me down. And then his boy started jumping me. My cousin like didn't really do much. He just watched me get beat up. But in my bag, I had a 007. So when I got up, I pulled that out. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. And was fighting them off, whatever. And then, you know, they eventually ran off because, you know, the cops started coming, whatever. But we ran off as well. And then the stitch is still here. I can't remember, but it looked like literally like someone painted blood on my face, threw paint on my, like, I was just covered, you know what I'm saying, in blood. So my dad was like, oh man, like, boy, what time I tell you to be home? And I was just like, he seen me walk in the room and he seen all this blood. He's like, boy, what the hell? What the hell happened to you, man? I was like, yeah, I got jumped, whatever. And he looked at my cousin kind of like, you didn't do nothing, whatever. So my pop went and got the pistol and went searching for the dude. And actually, from what I heard, like he chased the dude out of town. Like dude stayed out of town for a while because he knew my pops was coming from. But all besides that, my father's like, you got to learn how to fight. And then he taught me, you know, he brought me back to Dorchester to train with this trainer called Val Boston. And then from Val Boston, we went to, he's like, okay, Rob's ready to go train with the Petronelli brothers in Brockton. And they were Marvis Marvin Hagler's trainers. I don't know if you know Marvis Marvin Hagler was.
Of course. I'm from Syracuse, for the record. So like that's right near the Boxing Hall of Fame.
Okay, cool.
And I'm Italian. So like,
okay, cool.
It's my heart.
Yeah. So I was training with them and they wanted me to go pro. I was still in high school and my dad was just like, nah, he got to finish school. You know what I'm saying? And my dad was like, boxing's a very nasty game. And, you know, I believed I would have probably be a middleweight champion. Okay. I was that nice, you know what I'm saying? But that deterred him from, I guess with his experience in that industry deterred me from doing it. But I had so many gifts and talents that I knew I was going to do something, but I definitely had a passion for boxing. Like
be careful with this interview. Logan Paul is gonna want to fight you after this comes out.
Oh nah, man, I'm good, man. I'm good, man. But I was sweet with my hands. My hands were registered. You know what I'm saying? Like I was fighting. Like after I learned how to fight, like because it's a thinking game. So just outthinking your opponent. You know, and people think boxing is brutal, but it's really a thinking game. You know what I'm saying? And not getting hit. So I would never really get hit. I was sweet with my hands. They would call me Knockout King. Man, I got in fights in high school where like. I swear to God, it was like movie stuff. Like people would come and see me fight because it was a spectacle, you know? So it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and going along with what you said, I feel like Muhammad Ali and Floyd Mayweather were exactly what you're saying, right? It was like, don't get hit, use your brain. Mm-hmm. And then that's why I also put Tyson like in this like three ring category because he's the reverse. Yeah. Where it's just like, no, come here. I want to tell you something.
Right.
But
and so Muhammad Ali, I respect Mayweather for his smart business decisions he makes in boxing, and him being very careful about the opponents he fight. Like people try to in his psychology, like he didn't let his ego put him in a situation, you know what I'm saying, to where he would be taken advantage of. Muhammad Ali, he's my biggest idol when it comes to boxing because I believe in what he fought for, being a free thinker, religious freedom, social injustice, being the champ the way he wanted to be the champ, rejecting to go fight for a country that didn't even respect him as American, Black American here. So like he's one of my biggest idols, you know what I'm saying, to this day. I actually went down to his Hall of Fame. I went down to his museum in Louisville, Kentucky last year, and it was amazing. So it was very inspirational.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Muhammad Ali is just one of those figures. You know what I mean? He's so much larger than boxing. And,
Exactly.
And it means so much more. A good example, we were talking about this before the interview, like Jim Brown, right? He's a good example. I come from Syracuse.
Yep.
So obviously I know him for his running back abilities.
Right.
But, his social justice efforts from back in the day are insane.
Right. Yeah, I feel like the 60s and the 60s was like the civil rights movement era. Like, I feel like I belonged in that time. Because we're going through these same things right now, just at different level, just like different. Like everything's pretty much, I would say, systematic now than actually systematic and physical, as we see. But back then, I feel like that I belonged in that era.
Can you talk, so if you experience something growing up, right?
Yeah.
Like a form of racism, I'm saying, or something of that nature, is it the same now, or is it different as an adult? Like, has times changed in some way where you're experiencing it, but in a different way?
Well, when I was a kid, it was a little bit differently. Like everyone that knows me and knows the school we went to, like my sisters and all that, we actually had a race war, like in our junior high school, because a lot of Black people started moving to the suburbs and they didn't like it. And we were junior high school and we were having like race wars. Like, let's meet at the baseball field, whites against blacks. Let's see who's better. Like, and we it was like, seriously, like I literally, like a lot of my friends, like my three of my best friends are like dead. But a lot of people will tell you like that we're around that time, like we had a race war and it was like the blacks against whites. And we actually fought in the field. Like, who's better, who's superior. It's pretty crazy. So
yeah, that is very crazy.
So I mean, I swear I got so many stories. I mean, I can write like short stories. I can make movies. I can do all types of stuff. But now as you get older, I think you still deal with it. It's just it's hidden a little bit more. And then as I got into corporate America and started to do things in corporate America, and I started to try to build my business and do certain things, I didn't want to think it was racism that was stopping me from the growth. You know what I'm saying? But I had to think about that because why? I'm being honest. I'm being very transparent with the person. I'm actually helping them, right? I know I'm helping them. I know I can help them, but they choose to stay with the current processor or whoever they're dealing with and go with me. Or it could have been my style. Maybe like they didn't like me telling them that they were, because there's a lot of unqualified like office managers or people running certain things. And it's like when I point out the things that's wrong, you know what I'm saying, they might get offended. Like, is it because I'm black and telling a white office woman, you know what I'm saying, that like you could be saving way more money, and it reflects on them because their boss is like, what? Like, how can, we could be saving this money and you're not doing anything about it? So I dealt with a lot of that, like a lot of them taking my intellectual property and bring it back to the current processor and be like, oh, we're going to stay with them and they're going to match your rate and we're going to stay with them. To me, that doesn't make any sense because like they've been doing this for like 6-7 years or 5 years, like, and you're gonna stay with the same people that have been kind of screwing you over, So I try not to think that that's the issue, but it's hard not to, right?
Right.
So, but I don't want to think that way, but this is the world we live in.
For sure. For sure.
You know?
And you had said before, moving to Buffalo or coming to Buffalo, you see it's a different community, obviously, than Boston.
Yeah, it's a different community. Buffalo's definitely like a smaller knit community, and they're very, they wear the distrust on their sleeve initially, you know what I'm saying? But once they realize you're a real guy and you're here for the community and you want to help, they got your back. They're loyal, you know what I'm saying? And they are good neighbors, but they got to trust you though. It's and I totally get it. It's rough here. Like, a lot of things, happen here. So they grew up different, you know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to change the scarcity mindset that they have, because there's enough to go around for everybody. It's just that you got to just connect with the right people. And that's what I pretty much did. I just, I try to connect with the right people, and I try to enlighten. I try to help people as much as possible. And I'm not saying I expect everything in return, but appreciation, of course, I want to be appreciated for the things that I can do to help the community. But, I just try to, do good I just try to, anyone who comes within the circumference of my life, you know what I'm saying, or trying to do things, I try to enhance whatever they're doing and make their lives better, and show them that you can do more than just what you're doing right now. And there's always room to grow, you know what I'm saying, if you're willing to listen.
Yeah, I feel like I try to find people like that are having a higher purpose or something that they're trying to change other people's lives in some way or whatever,
But then, then again, the person has to want to do that too, because a lot of people can't see, like, it's hard to see when you come from a oppressed city, like financially, socially, it's hard to see that light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard.
Yeah.
So it's really up for them to make that choice if they really want to. Because like, I had choices to make. I made some good choices. I made some bad choices. But predominantly, I try to make good choices. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I just try to show people that, you know what I'm saying, you can do these things. Like, I've done it. So if I've done it, you can do it. Like, I like to be a living testimonial.
What do you think took you to where you are today? Was it music, or was it the other, ventures of business?
It's all of it, man.
It's a combination.
It's a combination of all of it, man. But I did keep it separate for a while, because I just knew the mindset here. Like, people, if they see me doing multiple things, they'd be like, "Oh man, he's trying to do all this other stuff. He ain't serious about any of this stuff." Mm-hmm. What they call that phrase? Master. What's it called?
So they say the jack of all trades and
master of none.
But
right, that's I'm saying
there. What that is?
What
they
is
call
it?
that a Renaissance man. And to be honest with you, I almost feel like that's a good thing. Like, I used to tell people I'm a Renaissance man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. Like, I can't tell you everything, but I can tell you a little bit about a lot.
Yeah, I don't. And the thing is, like, I'm not the master of all trades. Like, I'm good at, like, maybe I'm passionate about. I'm just passionate about what I love to do. You know what I'm saying? And I'm always open and willing to learn. So, but I have like 3 specific skills. You know what I'm saying? And I guess to everyone else, that's like everything. Like, I'm really good. I'm a master networker. Mm-hmm. And I learned that from the music business, right? Doors getting shut in my face, radio stations not want to play my records. I have to build these relationships to backdoor people trying to stop me from, reaching my goals, you know what I'm saying? And now I think about it, that's because of their insecurities, or they didn't like me for some reason. I don't know why. I didn't do nothing to anybody. My ambition, you know what I mean? Maybe because I had talents that they didn't have. A lot of people get in positions are unqualified for their job or for their position. They're unqualified. So that creates a lot of insecurity within themselves. So they don't want anyone else to come in and expose them of their faults or weaknesses. And we all have weaknesses. We all have strengths and weaknesses, you know what I'm saying? And what you're supposed to do is get people who are great at what they are to fill those gaps where you're weak at. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be great at everything. You know what I'm saying? I want people who are great at what they do to help me be successful, and generally want to be successful, because it helps everybody. When you're successful, everyone who's on your team and your squad, they become successful too, And I just believe I just believe in that. Like, I want all my people to be bosses, like sit at the round table, like King Arthur and Camelot. You know what I'm saying? We all are bosses. We all pull up in a red carpet with Benz and Beamers and stuff like that. Like, that's what I want. That's the culture that I'm trying to embody and I'm trying to do.
I'm with that. And it's funny, as a little segue, you had mentioned that you're a man of many talents. I want to just talk a little bit about the music stuff. You play, is it just the saxophone and the keyboard?
Yeah, well, I play a little bit of keys, and but saxophone is my go-to instrument. So, I grew up playing that, since third grade. Just shot a video with my boy Vinny Atlas, and he's taking his time to release it. But that's will be like my actual saxophone debut playing it actually in a video, because I used to not play it a lot and mix it with my hip hop, because, like all the underground cats, like doing the boom bap stuff, like being that different, I wouldn't have fit in, And a lot of them wanted me to do like this boom bap hip hop, like and I'm just like, and I kind of wanted to fit in at that time, and I just pushed away all my other talents. But I realized like that would have made me stand out way more, Yeah. And they knew that, and like it's just that they knew my gifts and talents, and and I didn't realize it at the time. My sister was telling me how, like, Rob, you're so talented, you're this and that, you're better than all these people you're surrounding yourself around. So why, like, But I just, growing up in the culture of hip hop, I just wanted to prove that I had those bars. You know what I'm saying? And I could spit, and I could do all that, but I'm also a writer and composer. Like, I don't have to be as lyrical to write a great song. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes simplicity is the best.
Chandra from Sneak Vibin' blog here in Buffalo, she has a podcast here. She talks about like in the black culture with music, that sometimes black artists have to fit into like a mold of what they're expected to be. The example we were talking about was like Little Uzi Vert. I'm older now. My partner Roots is older now, and him and I do not understand our kids with this Little Uzi Vert. But it's obviously like a very popular.
I rock with Little Uzi Vert. Like, he's very alternative. Like,
right. But she kind of explained that like he has a sound that like up until now, like if you were a black artist, you might not be allowed to have that sound or promote that sound, and it's giving like another outlet to the black culture. And I just wondered, do you feel like growing up that you had to fit into something to be?
Of course.
Of
course. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like. And I mean, as a jazz musician and a saxophone player, improv, like I would play in school, like jazz, and my jazz band teacher would give me a solo, right? So my solo was pretty much improv, which in hip hop you call freestyling.
Okay.
So there was a correlation between jazz and hip hop, you know what I'm saying? So that's what got me into hip hop, because it was like more free thinking, freestyling. And I was able to express myself verbally instead of musically.
Right.
So that's how I got it. And that's what, and if you hear my flow on a lot of records, they're very like, you could tell that I'm a musician because I pick up like different flow cadences. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm playing freestyle, like I'm doing improv in jazz. Like, my flow will change up very, I'll be like da 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 da. Like my flow is just all over the place because I'm like weaving and dipping and diving inside the track. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Like that's how I am. You know what I'm saying? And I don't write anything on paper anymore either. So I became that way when I started working with Detail from Convict Music. Like I had it in me because I freestyle. I'm saying I was the best freestyler, but I freestyle. But as I got into the industry, and I was seeing like, man, these dudes aren't even writing nothing on paper, man. Like, and I knew I had it in me. And the first session I did in Glendale at the back room, that was the first time I executed it that way. You know what I'm saying? And like everyone was in like awe. Even I was in awe.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My aunt did that a lot too. And but yeah, that's how that's.
Which aunt are we talking about?
Donna Summer.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but so that's how I just became to like, just like everything is just like, divine intervention now.
It's like
in
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you had to practice at it though, because we were banging out records like, like back to back. I'm like, how these people banging on all these damn records, man, so fast? And I realized it's just like, boom, top of their head, and it's recorded.
Okay. You made me ask, is there something you wish, like as an artist when you were coming up, that you would have known, like maybe even it's what you just said, right? That you wouldn't have shied away from being outside of that box, right? You might have maybe had the saxophone more or whatever. Is there anything you wish you would have known or something in that sense?
When I wish I knew about music publishing a little bit earlier. You know what I'm saying?
Like
I wish I knew
and stuff.
Yeah, how it works.
Okay.
The business side of it, pretty much. I wish I knew that a lot earlier, because I didn't really start to learn about that until like my early 30s.
I got
You know?
That's true to a lot of people. Huh?
Yeah, but you look at a lot of artists now that they're big. You hear stories of them selling their publishing, and they were like, I didn't know what publishing was. I sold it for like $80,000. You know what I mean? Just to get a new car or get an apartment. You know, and that's pretty much, it's a survival mode. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to survive. So they're like, oh yeah, I'll sell that. But then I realizing that they're selling their digital real estate. Their intellectual property.
Right. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, but a lot of black people we weren't taught that. We weren't taught about legacy. You know what I'm saying? Passing down generational wealth. You know what I'm saying? We weren't taught that. We didn't know about, you know what I'm saying, stocks and CDs and what's it called? Like there's one, we weren't taught none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, now everyone's learning, because it's being exposed, but they weren't taught those things.
Probably for good reason.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They were doing everything they could to sabotage, right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
I understand
it's
that.
pretty much like, it's like slave labor pretty much. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I said, like things changed, just the systems changed,
I got you. Well, before I wrap up, I have a question I want to ask.
Yes, sir.
It's going to drive me. So it's like kind of a two-part thing. So you have like a little bit of an acting history. And
yeah, I'm trying to get back into it too, man. Slowly, but surely.
Traumatized me with one movie I want to just ask you about. So is it true that you had like an uncredited role in Shutter Island?
Yeah, so I had an uncredited role. I was there for 2 weeks though.
Okay.
Did
you meet anybody?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I was a principal extra. So I was in a scene closely with Mark Ruffalo and Leonardo DiCaprio, and I'm telling you right now, man, like Leo DiCaprio was the coolest dude I ever met. So is Martin Scorsese. He's cool too. Very, very low key, cool. Mm-hmm. But he is so tiny, man. I thought I was like, he's small, man.
Yeah.
And then Mark Ruffalo. I don't know. The days I was seeing him, he seemed pretty irritated. Like he just didn't want to deal with anybody. Like so I didn't say hi to him or anything like that. But I was really watching Leonardo DiCaprio, and when I was I was in a group with a bunch of principal extras, and a lot of them were trying to showboat and be all like, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like looking around like, dude, we're fucking extras, man. Like, just stop it, man. Stop trying to act like y'all are bigger than life, And I don't know. I guess Leo just see me not really, because they would ask him stupid questions like, oh, who do you like, Celtics or Lakers? Like, dude, I'm from LA. Well, of course I like the Lakers. And I was just like kind of like in my own, I was just like chilling in my own corner. So every time he would come out of his trailer, whatever, he likes to smoke Marlboro Lights. So he'd just come over and be like, hey, what's up, man? And I'm like, what's up? We just talk for a little briefly and, go about his day. And then people come up, what did he say to you? What did he say to you? And I'm like, he just said, what's up, Mm-hmm. But I watched him get into his acting, his role, and he would have this little cliff notes. And he'd just be mumbling to himself, I was watching him like, this dude's insane, man. And he smoked his little Marlboro Lights, whatever. And then he get into the scene and shit. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, this dude's a fucking genius. And then they cut, whatever. And then one time the assistant director told, he was like, Leo, Marty thinks you're overacting too much. And then Marty was like, no, Leo, no, it was a great take, but and I was just like, damn, I'm like, yo, Marty's kissing his ass, and that's what I knew I'm like, yo, Leo's a fucking superstar, because I watched fucking Marty kissing his fucking ass. That's why I said, that's why I knew Leo was the fucking GOAT, because Martin Scorsese, come on, so. But yeah, that was that was the first very featured film I was in, and got to see the whole Hollywood, see how everything was set up, because they had a lot of towers everywhere. And then when I actually seen the film, I was like, oh, this is some movie magic shit right now, So that was my first experience in Hollywood.
Wow. All right. That's amazing because, like, I hear so many stories. I film a little bit, so I had to ask you about that.
I did one movie. I did a few other ones, but this is another one I did that was Lionsgate.
It's talking about Highway?
420.
That was my next question.
Yeah, okay.
Wait, hold up. Let me
Did you see it?
Yeah, nah.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't see it, but it came up on my thing. And the reason why I'm asking about it is, did you meet Eddie Griffin?
Yeah.
Yo. We
He's
gotta
cool
talk
as
about
shit.
this.
Yeah, Eddie's cool, man. I met him when he had all the makeup on though, because he plays this white hilly-billy dude in there.
Yeah.
So you got to watch the movie.
Yeah, I
so
watched the trailer.
You'll see me in like the first 10 minutes. I play a DJ and I'm in a strip club.
Okay.
And Lil Duval, Devin the dude, they're in a strip club, right? And they're watching a stripper and she farts. And I stopped the record because I'm the DJ. This is Magic City in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? And and that was a dope scene right there. It was pretty funny. But yeah, Eddie Griffin was in the scene. But yeah, he's really cool, down to earth.
He's
really
the
cool.
man.
Yeah. So, but I talked a lot with Devin the dude. I'm sure you know who he is. Yeah. And Lil Duval, he was cool. He was cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a experience that you look back on.
Yeah, Gary Owens was in it as well.
Oh,
A lot of like the other lady from In Living Color, the white lady that always played those crazy roles in Living Color, she was in it as well. A lot of other actresses too. I can't remember their names and stuff like that, but that was a great experience too. Like and it was directed by Coke Daniels. So he actually directed my ends video. We shot that on Sunset in Hollywood.
Yeah, those two movies stood out to me.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we brought that up.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into more stuff. I just did a little mini TV series here in Buffalo with Scoville TV. It's called the VCOs. So I play this guy Free, and that's kind of like it's just been a while since I've been acting. So acting's really tough for me, but I love it. But it's just tough. I got to put more time and energy into it, and that's what I'm looking forward to do this year. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, if anybody's watching this, you should definitely book them immediately.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to, get into the back and, well, actually, I am into it, but Hollywood is seducing me all over again.
Oh, here we go. You hear that, Leo? You're going to have to come get your man. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming in today. We'll have to do it again. This is one of the beginning episodes of the Greenhouse Sessions.
Now, when you say greenhouse, you mean greenhouse like
yeah?
Green,
so
green?
it's funny. It's funny you bring it up. So I go by the moniker Mr. Green, right?
Okay, cool.
Everybody thinks that because we are 420 friendly, that's why. But
right.
It's good that you asked me this. Might as well put it out on one of the beginning episodes.
Yeah.
So I originally wanted to just have like a stage name that I used as a producer, and I love Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, that's
so they all had colored names, like fucking Mr. Pink, Mr. Blue. So you didn't know the bank robber names. So I'm Mr. Green. I was in the military. I was in the Army. I like green. So
yep, there you go.
Just kind of became the thing. And this is Revelry House, right? Welcome to the Revelry House. So It's the greenhouse.
Yeah, we're both. I'm a cannabis advocate as well. So
yeah, that's important. I mean, we could do a whole episode sometime on cannabis, especially. I'm sure you have a lot to say with they're trying to make it equitable in New York, but I don't know that that's what's happening. So
we'll see. There's a lot of talks right now. I own my own payment processing company.